Hi, friends. Father Kerry Walters here, pastor of Holy Spirit, American National Catholic Church. And this is another Holy Spirit moment, this one on whether Jesus is just a symbol. One of the viewers of these videos wrote me an intriguing letter last week. He said this in his letter. He said, "Is it really necessary that Jesus be divine? Or is it even necessary that Jesus actually existed? Because isn't the value of Jesus his symbolic nature? Isn't it the case that Jesus is a symbol of everything that human beings hold to be good and true and holy? Isn't that enough?" I think that's a really good question. And of course, my letter writer isn't the only person who has thought that symbolic Jesus is enough. You don't need to drag in divinity or even existence. Some people believe that Jesus the symbol is for the good. Other people believe that Jesus the symbol is for the bad. So, for example, the Swiss psychologist C.G. Jung, Carl Jung, once argued that Jesus is a perfect symbol of individuation. Individuation is, of course, Jung's technical term for flourishing identity. So when we see Jesus, stories about Jesus or depictions of Jesus, what immediately is evoked, according to Jung, is what we can be, a fully individuated, fully identified human being. Other people have argued that Jesus the symbol is a lot less positive. Karl Marx, for example, saw Jesus as a symbol of ideological oppression and suppression. Nietzsche, the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, saw Jesus as a symbol of slavish morality, of slavish religion. Atheists like Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens see Jesus as a symbol of superstition, of foolishness. So, is Jesus a symbol, either for good or for bad? Well, in order to answer that question, it seems to me we need to think a little bit about what a symbol is. Now, a dictionary definition of symbol, and by the way, dictionary definitions of terms that have deep theological or philosophical significance are almost never worth the paper they're written on. But nonetheless, a dictionary definition of symbol will tell you that a symbol is a thing that points beyond itself to something else, and usually the something else that a symbol points to or refers to or signifies is more abstract than the symbol. So, for example, flowers can be symbols. Sometimes flowers are just flowers, just as a cigar is sometimes just a cigar. But given the context, flowers can have a symbolic significance, a symbolic meaning. So, for example, in some contexts, flowers can symbolize love. You give a bouquet of flowers to someone whom you love, and the giving of them itself manifests and expresses love. Love, a rather abstract concept when compared to the very concrete thing of a bouquet of flowers. But in different contexts, flowers can take on an entirely different symbolic meaning, can't they? A wilted bouquet of flowers can symbolize love lost, or can symbolize even death. Again, love lost or death being more abstract than the actual bouquet of wilted flowers. So, symbols frequently and perhaps most often, as a matter of fact, depend upon context for their meaning. They combine a concrete with an abstract. And that actually harkens back to the Greek etymology of the word symbol, because in the Greek, the granddaddy of the word symbol means to throw together, to bring together two things which we may not think immediately fit together. That's the purpose of a symbol. Symbol isn't a metaphor, it's not an allegory, it's not a simile. It is a device by which we draw significance out in things that otherwise may not have that added significance. So, back to the question, is Jesus a symbol? Well, it seems to me, friends, that some symbols can be rather mundane, like the symbol of flower, expressing love on the one hand or lost love on the other. And other symbols are richer and deeper. I think, for example, of the symbol of the great white whale in the novel Moby Dick. The great whale is a symbol, many people have said, of fate or nemesis. Again, a concrete thing, the whale, pointing to an abstraction, nemesis or fate. And surely that's a more interesting and deeper kind of symbolic meaning than a bouquet of flowers in other contexts. But there are some symbols, according to the English poet and philosopher Samuel Taylor Coleridge, which have deep, deep, deep significance, regardless of what context they're examined in. He says that these symbols, I love this definition, and it's so much richer than the dictionary definition. Coleridge says that some symbols are consubstantial with the truths for which they are conductors. Let me say that again. Some symbols are consubstantial with the truths for which they are conductors. I think that that word consubstantial is a particularly interesting one. It certainly reminds us of the Nicene Creed, doesn't it? Because whenever we recite the Nicene Creed, we use the word consubstantial. Jesus is consubstantial with the Father. Jesus is of one being with the Father. Jesus participates in the being of the Father. And now, take that back to Coleridge's definition of what a symbol can be. Not all symbols perhaps are. A symbol is consubstantial with the truth which it is conducting, which it is conveying to us. In that regard, I think it's quite appropriate to say that Jesus is a symbol, but not just a symbol, because Jesus is consubstantial with the great truth that his very existence conveys. And what is that truth? Divinity, the divine. Jesus is consubstantial with the truth he's trying to convey, and that truth is that there exists God, that there exists a divine element that coordinates, creates, and oversees and graces everything that is. So indeed, Jesus is a symbol, because Jesus is consubstantial with the truth of divinity. Coleridge uses a really wonderful passage from the book of Ezekiel to illustrate his definition of symbol. Let me just read this passage to you. It's from one of Ezekiel, the prophet Ezekiel's visions, and it's the famous vision of wheels within wheels. This is what Ezekiel says. Whithersoever the Spirit was to go, the wheels went, and thither was their spirit to go. For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheel also. The wheel, which is the symbol, is consubstantial with the truth which the wheel is expressing, the creature, the spirit. Now, it seems to me that there is great biblical warrant for arguing that Jesus fulfills the definition of symbol that Coleridge offers us. And Coleridge offers us this definition, by the way, in a little book of his called The Statesman's Manual, if you care to read it for yourself. The biblical passage that I'm thinking confirms the claim that Jesus is a symbol is in the letter to the Colossians, the first chapter, verses 15 through 20. Let me read just a portion of those 5 verses. Jesus is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. For in him all the fullness was pleased to dwell. Jesus is the image or the symbol of the invisible God, which is exactly what Coleridge says that symbols should do. These deep kinds of symbols, they should be consubstantial with the truths that they're conveying. In Jesus, all things are held together. Remember the Greek etymology of the word symbol. In Jesus, fullness was pleased to dwell. Once again, a reference to the consubstantiality with the Father, because of course nothing has fuller being than God, God's self. So my answer to the person who wrote me the letter last week is a resounding yes. Jesus is a symbol, one of these deep, deep, deep symbols that Coleridge tells us about. But Jesus is not just a symbol. I'm Father Kerry Walters. Thank you so much for watching Holy Spirit Moments. If you have any questions you would like to pose to me, please feel free to write. In the meantime, God bless. I'll see you soon.